Listen up, people. I'm gonna keep it 100 here on the channel. I'm only making this video because of how much Bitcoin is up today. Maybe I shouldn't have made this video. But it has been a minute or two since our last vid, so I wanted to stop by, talk about a couple of things. And of course, as we always do here on the channel, let's start off with a little bit of market analysis. The prices went up. All jokes aside, this has been the best stretch for Bitcoin and the altcoins since we saw it crash back in January, February 2018. It's been a welcome breath of fresh air for a lot of people who have seen nothing but red for almost an entire year, especially in the altcoin markets. If we look at what's happened over the last year and a half or so, we've seen a shift in the Bitcoin dominance being more pro-Bitcoin and a little less pro-altcoin. And I think if we look at kind of the overall philosophy of a lot of the people tweeting about cryptocurrency, it has started to take more of a Bitcoin maximalist tone. Actually, Bitcoin maximalists have always had tone. Speaking of Ethereum, Ethereum has actually also been doing pretty well over the last 6 months. Its rise has been roughly equivalent to Bitcoin, maybe slightly more from actual trough to the current peak, but basically both Bitcoin and Ethereum have been rallying somewhat substantially. I don't really want to go through all of the top coins here, but I do want to talk a little bit about the way that the top 10 has shifted, or really top 10, top 20 has shifted over the last year or two. Looking at the current largest coins by market cap, we see some familiar faces. Obviously, Bitcoin's been number one for forever. Ethereum's number 2, Ripple number 3, bit of a gap there. And then we see Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, EOS. These are ones that you're probably familiar seeing, especially if you've been around for a year or two. But Binance Coin is now all the way up to number 7. And one of the interesting things about Binance Coin to me is that it's one of the few coins where you actually could argue that there is like specific utility for it. By using Binance coins at Binance, you're able to trade at cheaper rates, and there are people trying to make money trading. So, you know, even though that might not be something they necessarily had to do, there is a specific purpose for Binance coin that if you're a trader, you're going to want to use. So I know a lot of people have been bullish on this for quite some time. It's interesting to see that it has risen quite this far. I'm definitely interested to see what happens from here. We also have Bitcoin SV, which is the Bitcoin Cash fork, really backed by Craig Wright, aka Faketoshi, that forked off of Bitcoin Cash. Surprising to see that it has managed to maintain some coherence in the top 10. Now, obviously, whenever you have a fork off of a fairly popular coin, there is going to be, a market cap that may not be the most accurate because many people maybe have not redeemed those coins, or they might not actually be in circulation. So you want to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. Same thing with Bitcoin Cash, but at the same time, it is managing to hold its price somewhat well, and there was a fairly large rally recently. So kind of interesting to see that shake down as well. Tether has been in the top 10 for some time. Obviously not a good sign when the stable coin currency makes the top 10, but they have been printing a lot more Tether. In fact, there continues to be Tether news and fear and FUD and everything else revolving around it, but yet Tether's still here and still trading at around $1. The next 5 or so coins, we see some pretty big players that have fallen out of favor somewhat recently, including Cardano, Tron, Monero, Dash, IOTA. These were all coins that at some point were top 10 or maybe even top 5, but for a variety of reasons have now dropped a little bit lower. So, I'm not really I don't think that it's too important where everything is ranked specifically, but I wanted to give you guys a little taste of kind of the way things have shifted. And so I've prepared a couple of screenshots from what CoinMarketCap looked like back in the day, and oh boy, is this different. I wanted to start off with almost exactly a year ago, and we look at this list. We see EOS in the top 5, coming in at 5. Obviously, Bitcoin Cash at 4 and has not yet forked. Stellar a bit higher. Cardano, IOTA, Tron all a bit higher. Neo up at 11. Neo has been one of the hardest hit top currencies over the course of the crash. Has just lost a substantial amount of its value, and I think a lot of this kind of comes back to there was a little too much hype around these platforms for decentralized applications, where I think people kind of more and more like, okay, sure, but there's so many people trying to do this, and what's its actual value? You never know specifically why prices rise or fall, but I think it's a pretty good question. Why do we need all these platforms? Is it necessary? What actual value do they provide? And I think NEO in particular was hit most by that. Also, NEO had a larger degree of centralization than some of these other currencies. So I think that that also hurt them as well. But yeah, we see a lot of the same ones, right? Like the year ago doesn't look too different. Now let's take a look at 2017. So about a year before that. We see a very different list. We see Bitcoin at almost 3K. We see Ethereum Ripple, so that hasn't changed at all. But we see Ethereum Classic at 4, right? There was actually a time when people weren't sure what was going to happen. Were people going to want to use Ethereum Classic? Were they going to want to use Ethereum? That wasn't that long ago, guys. That was only 2 years ago. And I think that it's so easy to kind of forget about these types of things that happen, and it's important to understand them. NEM, I remember NEM being in the top 5 for just an ungodly period of time. I know there was some weird stuff going on with their circulating supply, but yeah, I mean, look at this list. We got BitShares, Stratus, Bytecoin at 11. Lord knows that they were probably profiting from people thinking it was Bitcoin. Wave, Steem, Zcash. Really a very different list entirely. And if we go way back to 2013, June 2013, we see Bitcoin, Litecoin, Namecoin, PP Nova Coin, Devcoin, Feathercoin, Terracoin, all these types of things. And I think it really shows you how the altcoins can be very risky, and maybe even a little bit of the viewpoint of some of the Bitcoin maximalists, which is, a lot of these coins come and go, right? We've seen Litecoin manage to find stability for a long time, just like Bitcoin, but the vast majority of these guys seem to move around somewhat frequently. What will that be like moving forward? And I'm not really as much of a Bitcoin maximalist zealot as I think some people are in the social media streets, but I can say that, you should understand with a lot of these altcoins, they are riskier, 100% riskier. It doesn't mean they can't be good investments. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you to buy them. I'm just saying that, be aware of what you're purchasing and how these things do shift over time, kind of what the trends and cycles look like. And yeah, Bitcoin is going to be more consistent. Its upswings will be smaller. Its downswings will also be smaller typically. Be aware of that when considering what your overall strategy should look like. But I know what you're thinking. Doug, we don't come here for the biannual price update. We're here for the good news. And oh boy, has there been a lot. First up, this is one of my favorite stories, because it's ridiculous. That's right, Justin Sun paid $4.5-ish million to have lunch with Warren Buffett.
Last week was the annual charity auction for lunch with Warren Buffett. This year's winner is a cryptocurrency CEO. Justin Sun is CEO of Tron Foundation, a blockchain project with the associated cryptocurrency TRX. He paid $4.57 million for lunch with Buffett, and he joins us now from Hong Kong. Hi, Justin. Thanks for coming on.
Hi, thanks.
You know what they say, the sun never sets on crushing. I just want to point out how awesome this video is. We've got clickbaity media personality doing whatever it takes to get viewers interested in what they're up to. And this news anchor.
So let's start with this. Why pay up for lunch with Buffett? What are you planning to pitch him? What do you think you can get out of the lunch?
Sure. Basically, there are 3 reasons why I beat this auction. First of all, I have been a long-time believer for the long-time value investment strategies, and I also make lots of the money from these strategies.
Whether you like Tron or not, and I don't, you gotta appreciate the blunt honesty of Justin Sun. He's using these investment strategies to make the monies. At least he's honest about it.
And I think a lot of people just worry when they see that it's you doing the lunch. They worry that you might just shill Tron, that one coin. Do you really think that you can change his mind about cryptocurrency in general?
Yeah, sure. Basically, it might be unrealistic to convince Warren Buffett just in 3 hours to buy cryptocurrencies. But we just want to show him the recent progress of the cryptocurrency and the blockchain technology. So that's also reminds me it's not only about Tron itself, it's about the crypto and the blockchain, the whole industry.
This is actually pretty legit from Justin to say, we're going to have a bunch of other people there to represent the community and try and talk to Warren Buffett about everything going on in the space rather than just, quote, shilling Tron or AKA that one coin from this guy. I think this is actually sort of what we need. We need people trying to bridge that gap. And I think this is going to do good for everyone. Hopefully. It'll probably do nothing. But what about Tron itself? What's the point of what they've been working on? So Justin Sun answers to conclude this interview.
Justin, you mentioned that you paid for the Buffett lunch with money from BitTorrent, and yet obviously right now you really are known as the Tron guy. Tron, among cryptocurrency projects, one of the more controversial ones. You know, there are reports out of China that Tron is mainly used right now for sports gambling. Tell us just where Tron stands in terms of the status of the project. What has Tron accomplished, and what is the goal moving forward?
Yeah, sure. So basically our mission is to decentralize the internet.
Decentralize the internet? I think I've heard of that before.
A completely decentralized version of our current internet.
You want to build a new internet.
Seems realistic to me.
Basically, we offer the infrastructure for the future internet.
All right, I think we lost Justin Sun there at the very end, but good stuff. That was Justin Sun of Tron.
Justin, this is the most important question today. You say Tron will decentralize the internet. How, from a technical standpoint, are you planning to do that?
Yeah, no, I got the answer for you. You know, it's a really interesting thing. I think we're losing connection. I'm going through a tunnel. Are they gone? Oh, okay. We're still in the tunnel.
So yeah, that happened. Also, Google released a core update that has hit cryptocurrency media sites hard. I'm sure glad I'm not one of those guys. This is fine. Basically, Google is updating its algorithm to give more preference to mainstream media over smaller sites that specialize in more niche content. So sites like CCN have announced that they are shutting down after Google's June 2019 core update. It might be a little early to close down the doors, and this definitely could be a publicity stunt, which is working. This just in, breaking news. Our top story tonight, crypto media platform CoinCentral shuts down after Google core update. Make sure to stay tuned and tell your friends. I post articles and other sites and get the word out about it, because it's a real thing. I'm being serious. Anyway, that's going to do it here for the price updates in the news. Glad you guys stopped by for today's video. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you didn't. But I'll have another video coming up for you in the near future. Thanks for stopping by. Peace. Oh yeah, and if you enjoyed the content, hit the subscribe button, guys. And I'll see you again soon.